Well, congratulations, Leigh Wood. Round of applause. Two-time world featherweight champion, firstly. It is late, and there's a lot of you here, so we're gonna rattle on. Feel free to ask questions for Leigh and Ben as well. Over to you.
Leigh, how did you make it look so easy?
Preparation. I've been preparing for Lara since last June, July. I did say this before the fight. I know him better than he knows himself, and that's down to my team doing the research, studying him over and over again, getting that bulk of information and kind of dumbing it down for me and giving me what I needed to do.
What was going through your mind when you fist bumped Lee Wiley just after the round you dropped him?
So, there's a little sequence which I was landing last fight, a little occupy around the side, down the middle of the right hand. He was putting his head under it, and obviously Leigh told me he had that information from last time. He said you can switch that up and bring it up underneath when he puts his head down. So we drilled it with Ben over and over and over, and I seen the moment. I landed it first, and then he put his head under. I thought, I've seen this scenario, like other scenarios, and I lifted up and put him down.
There was obviously an issue with the weight before the fight. Are you able to say what you guys agreed? Was there a financial penalty, or did you agree like a certain weight?
Nah, it's nothing to talk about. He didn't make weight. It really pissed me off because I've been making that weight for 10 years. It's hard. And then whilst I was making weight and not eating and all that, and I found out that he wasn't going to make weight, so just more ammo for the gun, to be honest.
I don't mind talking about some of that because I think it's quite an interesting story. There was financial penalty to Mauricio Lara, and more importantly as well, Ben was adamant that although there's no rule from the British Boxing Board of Control or the WBA, it was almost a gentleman's agreement with Mauricio Lara's team that they would show us the weight the next day because he didn't want to feel like we were feeling like he was just taking the piss. So Ben was made aware of Mauricio Lara's weight this morning, but the biggest part of that, which is the part people don't see, is the moments where I have to go in to Leigh's bedroom when he's making weight and talk to Ben about whether the fight's even going to go ahead. And Leigh's making weight. He's listening to the whole conversation, and it's like, Ben rightfully so looking out for Leigh Wood. At the same time, you're looking at the career saying, well, if we pull out of this fight now, he's just a voluntary defence of Mauricio Lara. There's a mandatory due. He's not going to get a shot. He's not going to fight tomorrow night. He might not fight till September. It probably won't be for the world title. You're kind of a little bit screwed, really. But at the same time, everything was put in place to make sure that it was, it was fair, particularly today. But it was really difficult. It was mentally difficult for Lara. It was his fault. But it was also mentally difficult for Leigh because he had to go through those moments, the morning of the weigh-in, not knowing whether the fight was happening or not. And I definitely think it's something that has to be looked at in terms of the procedure for fight week. But Lara got it wrong. He knew the rules, and he paid the price.
With that weight issue, obviously Leigh, you want to fight regardless. It's your big night. From between fighter and promoter and trainer, with all the different viewpoints you've got to take on that situation, how close were we to this not happening?
Very close, because for Ben, the key was once they agreed. There was nothing from the board because it's not within their rules or the WBA to insist that the fighter must weigh the next day. But once the other team were happy, because they felt it was right to do that, that changed a lot for Ben. Because when he comes in 4 pound heavier, you don't know whether he could wake up in the morning having put on another 14 pounds. Once Ben found out that wasn't the case, it made him feel a lot happier. It's a very difficult decision. Like, Leigh's on the bed going, I can tell Leigh's thinking, right, everyone shut up, I'm fighting. It's not even a consideration. I'm about half a pound off my weight. There's no way I'm not fighting. But it's a very difficult decision. And I know Ben was nervous about the whole situation because you get the blame for going through with it. But with everything considered, it was the right decision. Twitter will tell you immediately after it's the wrong decision, of course.
We had to make a decision there as well, do we bring Leigh in at championship weight then? Now, before, I said Leigh was already on weight. That's a little bit of a lie, if I'm being honest now. The reality was that Leigh's whole goal was to become a 2-time champion of the world, and we had to make a decision collectively. Do we still bring Leigh in at championship weight so he could fulfil that dream and become a 2-time champion of the world? And Leigh's a big featherweight, so, with everything that took place, I was confident there wasn't going to be a disadvantage to Leigh. And once we knew that was the case, then we was happy to proceed with the fight, and it's proved to be the right decision.
For Leigh and Ben, really, what changed about the game plan this time round? 'Cause it, from ringside, it looked pretty similar. It's maybe just like refined it a bit. Looked like your right hand barely left the chin all night. Talk us through what you tweaked, what you changed, if you can.
No, from my point of view, over the fight, looking back, whilst I don't know what it looks like on film or anything, but I made a few little mistakes, some sloppy moments. But like I said before the fight, there's only small adjustments, but they made a big difference. Don't want to go into the details of it, but it worked.
Leigh, your trainer, Ben, gets a lot of criticism online. How much of a key role do you play?
I keep saying it, and everyone always gives him shit, bless him, calling me cheerleader and that. But I'm telling you now, this is one of the best trainers in the world, and over the next 10 years, way past when I'm retired, you're going to see that.
Leigh, you always look comfortable in there tonight. Did you expect anything more from Mauricio?
No, I know him really well. If anything, last time out, that was his big night to win the world title. Brendan Ingle, bless him, he used to always tell me it's hard to win a world title, it's even harder to keep one. So anyone can have one good night, give everything. And that's probably why I struggle to make weight as well. We've got to get up for it again and again and again. And true champions can do that.
Leigh, you know more than anyone how heavy-handed Mauricio Lara is. At any point when he did land on you, did you have any kind of flashbacks, if you will, to the last fight? Anything like that in your mind?
No, it's not Rocky IV. No, I was so headstrong, like I said, I didn't even leave the ring last time before I knew I could put it right. I knew I was better than him. It just doing it and not switching off. Every fight I've had is a different challenge. Zucan, like I said over and over again, it was work rate and dropping his work rate with the things I was doing. With Conlon, he was more skillful, but it was breaking him down and beating him up. This fight is a big puncher, but he lulls you to sleep. There's moments when you think, I should be doing something, but no, just if he wants to do that, let him do that. Crack it on. Discipline. Different ways to win fights, and I've got the team that will look at my opponent and make sure I'm doing the right things to do it. Yeah, I got it wrong last time. I put it right this time.
On that note, Leigh, there were moments when you looked like you actually hurt Mauricio. Did you feel like that was him maybe just trying to lure you in so that?
No, I did hurt him a few times. There was a few left hooks. It was solid. But it's, like Ben said, it's discipline. Not getting carried away, not trying to close the show early, just for the fans to stick to what was working and get the win over the line at any cost.
Leigh, you've got some great options. You've got some great options now for a big stadium fight. Josh Warrington would be absolutely incredible. I think Eddie would be salivating at that one for a domestic fight. It'd be awesome. But then, I don't know if you've seen the knockout, but Lopez obviously over Conlon, your former opponent tonight. That probably makes Warrington's performance against Lopez look a bit better as well, considering how all you guys are matched up. So, is Warrington the guy that you want, Leigh?
I think it makes sense. The two clubs will go to battle vocally on the night. It'll be a great atmosphere. Hopefully tick my box at the City Ground. We need to talk about it. I don't know how many fights I've got left. I'm 35 in August. It's very hard to make featherweight, but I'll keep doing it for that reason only. I want to achieve that dream. And like I said earlier, I've had a fairy tale career, turnaround since joining Ben, and I want my happy ending. And that is the happy ending. Maybe I've got 2 fights left. I can do that and try unify. We'll see. It's fight by fight, but I really want to tick that box.
Yeah, also when you joined up with us. I'm sorry.
Leigh, on Wednesday you said to me that it wasn't a lapse of concentration in the first fight. At the time, to a lot of people that seemed mad. I suppose Testament tonight proved that it really wasn't a lapse, and sort of there was those minor adjustments. You spoke all full camp, it was just tweaking a few little things. You said, how can that be with such a short turnaround? I suppose that proved it, right?
Yeah, and like I said this, like, I'm so headstrong. And the people of today, like, they're so quick to jump when you're online, and there's a lot of people who've got a lot of things to say, and I'm not really a sponge, so I don't absorb that. I don't read it and think, oh, are they right or not? I know what I'm going to do. I trust the people around me, tell them what they're telling me. I believe in myself. But there's some people out there that aren't quite like that, and they are a bit of a sponge, and sometimes that's going to wreck people's careers. So if you're an athlete or if you want to do something, do not give one fuck what people say. Just go follow your dreams, do what you need to do, and believe in yourself.
I'll tell you a funny story. Leigh Wood came into the office after the first Lara fight. It was only like a week after, wasn't it? and Ben came in, and we had a couple of private. The fighter will always say, "I want the rematch. I want to do it. I spoke to Ben. Ben was like, "Look, obviously, I think he can win the rematch. It's a very fast turnaround. Let's get him in." And we sat down. I said to Leigh, "Look, I think it's a very fast turnaround. You could let Josh Warrington fight Lara. You got the winner. I know there's a mandatory, but we can work that out." And he's like, "No, absolutely not. There is no way I'm not fighting him next. I'm doing the rematch." "Yeah, but obviously it's only a couple of days after the fight." No, it doesn't matter whether it's today, next week. I'm having a rematch. I'm not stepping aside. Blah blah. Then he goes to the toilet, right? So he goes to the toilet. He goes, I don't know whether they set me up to, but he goes, "I'm just going to go to the toilet." So he goes to the toilet, and I go to Ben. "He's mental." I said, I think he's still a bit buzzed from the knockout last week. I went, "He can't make that fight in that time." He's like, "Look, he's very stubborn." Like, I think, he's like, and I'm thinking, anyway, comes back. I'm like, "Leigh, I think I've been talking to Ben, and it's a very fast set. There's nothing to discuss. So make the rematch, and on we go." And he was right. And it's those little decisions would have been so easy not to take the rematch. So easy. And then someone sticks a mandatory and someone does this, and I really felt like it was I felt like it was a wrong decision. I really did.
The reality is we got slaughtered for taking the first fight. People was like, you're mad for picking Mauricio Lara. The reality is they boxed 19 rounds. Lara might have won 2 or 3. That's the reality of it. So, like I say, Leigh Wood proved his class. Might have took 2 attempts, but we got there in the end.
Eddie, for you and Ben, you also faced a lot of criticism for not actually pulling Leigh out of the fight with all the weight and situation. I know Ben specifically, you would have trusted the game plan, I know, with the weight and everything. I suppose it also proves that you can't always be too reactionary in this game, because I suppose, look, we're sat here now, he is a 2-time world champion, and a lot of people 24 hours ago were...
Yeah, there's a lot of things that the public don't know as well, but, Eddie's not silly, we had Leigh's interest. I'll be honest with you, Eddie half pulled the fight before I did.
I went to the room to pull the fight. I messaged him and said, "I think we need to pull the fight. Where are you?" This was an hour before the weigh.
Yeah.
And I said, "Where are you?" He said, "I'm making weight with Leigh." I said, "I need to see you. I think we need to pull the fight." It was just too much. It was just, once we got the call that Lara was going to weigh 129.8, that's when I got to Ben, and we were shocked by that, because it's kind of like not a bad decision from the board, but the board said to him, "You can't weigh less than 128.5." But they didn't say you can't weigh 131. They just presumed that he would come in on that number. But by then, obviously, his head had gone a little bit after the decision and whatever. But that was the moment we went, and it was probably really Leigh where. He was laying on the bed, just chilling out, trying to make weight, and I was sitting down on the sofa talking to Ben, and every now and again I could hear Leigh go, "That's all right, that's fine, don't worry about it. Just get him to pay a little bit more, we'll be fine." And it was
plenty,
it was a really big.
But we had a
concern.
short window there as well from us having that information to the weigh-in of trying to agree some terms that we was happy with for the fight to go ahead. So. At the same time of trying to make weight, we're trying to make sure that the health and safety of the fight has been taken care of. And like we say, eventually we got there. But, you can't always share all the information straight away to the public, and the public don't always know everything. But, Eddie actually pulled the fight at one point.
Leigh, how mentally tough was that sort of period for you? I imagine sort of in the process of making weight.
I didn't really...
think about that now?
I didn't really get distracted by it. I've spent a massive... bulk down Essex for this camp, away from friends, family. I always say as well, my kids as well. Like I said, straight after that, I had a week off, went to the bar with my kids, was training out there as well, come straight back into the gym. I was so headstrong to put this right. There was nothing that was going to get in the way. So I kind of thought, it'll get sorted, just focus on my job.
Eddie, if you was to see the Kolmatov fight ordered by WBA, it's not as lucrative and it's still a very difficult fight. Would you take that, or if Eddie was to say, "Listen, I can get you Warrington or I can get you Lopez, but you'd have to vacate"? Would you do that?
I don't know. We'll see. I've worked very hard for that. I won't like to give it over for no one, but I've got people advising me, so we'll have to have the discussions and see what's best. And like I said, it's really down to where I want that. Well, I want that City Ground fight. So if that's with or without the belt, then that would trump it. But we'll talk about it and make some decisions, I guess.
Eddie, how's your relationship with Lara? Because he would have known a good few days earlier that he wasn't going to make weight. Do you still have options on him, and will he continue with him?
Yeah, I do. We got a contract with him, and we'll continue with him. I mean, you know, I think Leigh hit the nail on the head. Some fighters, and this is what I always find it astonishing, how some fighters create such a legacy and make so much money, and their desire stays the same. I mean, I'm talking Canelo, I'm talking AJ, and even Leigh to a point now. He's made good money. He's a 2-time world champion. Still hungry for those big nights. Lara's young. He comes from literally nothing. You know, when he fought Josh Warrington the first time, I don't know what he ended up with personally, $20,000, and it was massive for him. Now he's been making a lot of money consistently. Probably, or maybe he started camp a few days late, or you just make small mistakes that cost you on the scales. And then, once he lost the belt, probably his head went down a little bit, but he's a very young fighter. He's 9 years younger than Leigh. He's got a big future ahead of him, but,
Sure.
You have to be disciplined and you have to be consistent. I mean, Chris Billum-Smith's another good example. No one really thought Chris Billum-Smith was going to win a world title.
You did.
I thought he would tonight. Yeah, he beat him. Yeah.
Lee beat him,
Points.
Yeah.
I did actually say.
But consistency, living the life, never, always in shape, always training hard, always giving it 110%. Like, who would have said Leigh Wood would have won a world title? Who would have said Leigh Wood would be a 2-time world champion when he got stopped by Gavin McDonnell in Hull?
I would have said he'd be a 2-1.
Oh, you were saying...
Right.
When would you say that?
What?
When would you say that?
I always use me.
You talk rubbish, you do. I'm sick and tired of your rubbish all week. You might have said he'd be a world champion. You'd never say he would be a 2-time world champion. Know it all. Stop it.
Sorry.
Lee, what's confidence said to you?
I've not seen him yet because I'm straight to the testers. Got my eye stitches, but I've not been out these room yet. But
I saw him. He come straight up to me. He went, "You got to make the City Ground happen." I was like, "Oh Jesus Christ!"
What are the biggest hurdles with the City Ground or the potential?
The club, really. Look, everybody wants to do it, right? They're a football club. That's their business. So, do they want to do it? Yes, of course. The logistics of doing it now, the biggest problem with doing it now is it would have to be in September, and it would have to be if even the ground staff and all those people would allow you to go on the pitch during an away weekend, right? It's a very difficult turnaround. I know it's a different, surface and stuff like that, but you still have to load in from a Tuesday or Wednesday. You have to put a huge amount of pressure and machinery on the pitch. It needs to recover after. Some pitches can do that, some pitches can't.
Let me just say, just had a new pitch lead. It's like half artificial hybrid, so that's a good thing.
Good.
And also,
Mate, I want to do it.
In 2 weeks, we get the fixtures. There might be an international break.
Yeah,
September international break.
Might be.
But end of September.
You tell him, Lee.
Yeah,
I'm trying.
I want to do it. I think there's a few quid in it. I'm up for it. But it has to be in September.
For me, maybe.
It has to be in September. So you got a cut. I said to Ben, you'd have to have June off, which is nice, and then straight back in the camp in June. Because also with the mandatory, if we are going to allow that, get that fight allowed, and it will be tricky, it would have to be quick because people won't wait around. So there's a lot to discuss. But at the end of the day as well, if he didn't do it in September or October, he could do it next early summer. But again, it's like Katie Taylor in Dublin. Wait. You want to grab it now if you can do it. I'd love to do it in September.
Assuming it is Josh as like the dream opponent for that, would that be Josh Warrington's next fight?
Yes, and that's another problem because obviously he hasn't boxed since December. So he was thinking he was going to get the winner of that fight first time around. So it's not Leigh's problem, but that is the fight. I mean, you talk about 10. He could probably sell 15,000 himself from Leeds.
We could as well.
I know you could sell more than that, especially you, Arnie. So.
How quickly do you want it to happen?
See what happens. See what lines up. If that's in front of me, I don't mind getting back out of bed for it.
Leigh, what did you make of the crowd tonight? Does that have any effect?
Do you know what? I didn't expect that many to be there.
Yeah.
From Nottingham, and especially Forest fans as well. I was half contemplating not having the Mulligan tie bit at the beginning of the walk and just having the something inside so strong. But so glad I stuck with it. I could hear them. They picked me up, especially down the stretch around 12. They started singing and just made sure I was still on it. I didn't switch off. So massive thank you to all the travelling fans for getting behind me, and it's our victory to share.
Leigh, what's the primary motivation for the City Ground? Is it the payday or the legacy?
It's the first person to do it. It's the history. Obviously, I'm a massive Forest fan. Being the first person to headline at the City Ground and leaving my stamp on the city, Frosh has done a lot. If you didn't know, 82,000. Nice for me to have my own little bit of history, and nothing better than being the first person to headline at the City Ground.
If you do that, Leigh, will you remind us as much as what Carl does?
I can't say I won't.
Last question, guys. Have you got one? All good? Well done, Leigh Wood.